What's up, Mga Higala, and welcome back to another vlog of the Daily Grind. Today is February 22nd. I started my climb at 9:10 a.m. and I'm gonna head to the very top again, see what kind of time I can do before I head back down. So stick around. Okay, so it's not a deep thought, but it's a thought. I've shared on here that I really want to gain as much mastery of the science as I possibly can. So I study every day. I found some teachers online, I listen to their vlogs, and I'm on Memorize every day. So if you're learning Visayan and you want to motivate yourself, reach out to me and add me on Memorize. Great app. I've made a course out there and I'm taking 15 different courses. But I believe it. I believe it helps. So, yeah, my understanding gets better every day. My vocabulary grows every day. And I figure if I just keep doing it every day, eventually I have to speak this language. And eventually I would master it to some degree. So, reach out if you're also learning Visayan. All right, we made it to the top. Another day. Maayong buntag. So in a previous video I talked about how much I like these scrums, and also known as multicabs. I really do like the look of them and the theoretical functionality. Because it's a 660cc engine, and some of them are 4x4s, and that's pretty cool, right? You could get some stuff done with that. Here's what, according to what I've seen in other videos, is that even though they look like they come off a production line, my understanding is that it's a Suzuki engine, and these cabs are manufactured, I don't know, maybe in the Philippines, but anyone can assemble them. And there's one video out there of a guy who bought a new one, and it was a really good looking one. And he had all kinds of problems. He had it fixed, in and out of the shop weekly, because when he got into the electrical system, they had used literally speaker wire. So even though it looks like something that might roll off a production line, actually there's shops all around, in every town and every barangay, and they assemble these. They put the engine in, they do all the electrical, they tie all the components together, and there's no real quality control. So that's the downside. I really like them, and I think you can pick one up for 150,000. They're a little bit more than that new, but the problem is the problems that might come with it. I think if I were going to buy one, I'd buy one a couple years old, because you'd certainly hope that all the problems had been worked out. And my brother-in-law bought one of these. He bought a multi-cab, and it's basically brand new, but it's been sitting for 6 months to a year because he's had problem after problem after problem. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting a scrum, your multi-cab, whatever you want to call them. They look cool. They look neat, and it's cool that they have 4x4, and theoretically they can go down these small muddy roads, but you may run into a ton of problems with them. So, all right. I thought I'd take a minute to reflect back on when I first moved to the Philippines in 2005. I made a friend back then named Justin, And I met him doing jiu-jitsu. He was a purple belt, I was a blue belt. We started training together, and come to find out, he had been there for I think a year, and he was living off $200 a month, not including, he had a scooter he owned outright. He bought that right when he got there, and aside of that, I think he was paying rent, which was, I'm not sure I could have done it. It had a dirt floor. It was rough, but I think it was like $50 a month. And he was living off of the $150 a month. I thought that was crazy at the time, right? So for anyone thinking about moving here or moving to the Philippines, I can't say that can be done today. I have no idea. You know, I'm sure that's gone up, but in 2005, you could live here in Cebu at that. Cebu's a bigger city for $200 a month. And Justin and I stayed friends for a long time, and he ended up being a super successful developer. Lives in Florida today. I just thought I'd share that with you. I thought I would share the story, since Justin came up, of the funny way that we met. Back in 2005, when I was living in the Philippines and I was training jiu-jitsu, and I was going to different schools and cross-training. So I was training with Judoka, and I was training with the Aiki-jitsu school, and I got invited. Someone told me that there was a purple belt teaching at Doce Paris, and they said, "Hey, would you like to go there and cross-train with him? Would you like to meet him and, you know, go there and train?" I said, "Sure." So they got back with me, and they had a day set up, and they said, "Yeah, it's, you know, such and such day at such and such time." So I went there, and it was on the second floor. So I go up the steps, the second floor, and as I enter the mat area, there's multiple news crews, and they're there to see us fight. Right? I thought that was, we both looked at each other like, what's going on here, right? They were all set up with cameras on tripods, and but we talked, him and I talked and said, hey, you know, we'll just have a friendly roll. And but yeah, that was very funny, a very funny way that we met, right? To show up and be expected to battle, if you will, right? Which in jiu-jitsu, it's not a big thing, right? We do grappling matches all the time. We compete, but that was a little bit of an odd situation, right? You're supposed to respect your higher belts. I show up there, he's a higher belt than me, and he wasn't expecting that, you know. I wasn't expecting it, so it was just an odd thing. But we ended up being good friends. We ended up training together for years. He ended up living in Florida, where I was living later, actually in Jacksonville, and he still lives in Florida today and is a super successful developer. So that's the story about Justin and how we met.